Beyond Money, Regaining Sovereignty, Rediscovering Humanity by Daniella.io. Foreword by Jeff Booth. Copyright 2025 by Daniella.io. All rights reserved. Dedication. To those whose souls long for freedom and truth. Before diving into this book, you'll hear a foreword by Jeff Booth, whose work has been a major influence on what follows. His insights are deeply valuable, but if you find the concepts here challenging at first, don't worry. The book is designed to gradually build up to these ideas. Feel free to revisit this section later if needed, and trust that everything will make sense as you progress. Foreword. What if every action you took unknowingly fueled a system built to extract, control, and deplete you? For over 3,000 years, we have lived within systems designed to take more than they give. Extractive systems where power and resources are concentrated among elites at the expense of broader societal welfare. From ancient empires like Rome and the Ming Dynasty to colonial powers such as Britain and Spain, these systems have relied on the exploitation of land, labor, and wealth to fuel their growth. For brief periods, these empires appeared to be winning when measured from within, primarily due to greater extraction, often in the form of slavery outside their borders. Yet this relentless extraction eventually sowed the seeds of their own decline. Overburdened resources, discontented populations living in a state of perpetual scarcity, and rigid hierarchies that proved less productive than free markets. These systems thrived on exploitation, only to crumble under the weight of their own greed, leading to the eventual collapse of these once mighty nations and the rise of new ones. The rise and fall of civilizations highlights misaligned incentives and an inability to break free from this cycle. For all our progress as a society, the simple fact remains: we still live in an extractive system today, one where, quote, wealth does not primarily accumulate from the value we provide to society, as it should in a free market, but rather through the manipulation of money itself. A system where a subtle, pervasive form of modern-day slavery exists for approximately 7.5 billion people on this planet. It is safe to say we have found no other way to organize society. And while we might not want to admit this truth, we can feel it. A growing awareness of something being off. But what if there was a way out, a system immune to corruption, designed to empower rather than exploit? Bitcoin is that system. This is why the structural change happening in the world today is unlike any before it. For the first time in history, each person on the planet has a choice to leave an extractive system and move into a cooperative one. While most are still unaware of the significance of this shift, the change is inevitable. The discovery of Bitcoin, an open, decentralized, and secure protocol, removes the ability for humans to cheat through the control or manipulation of money. It imposes rules instead of rulers, allowing productivity gains from the free market to flow naturally to us in the form of lower prices. Society now has an honest ledger that cannot be manipulated, ensuring that no person, no government, and no system can win at the expense of others. Because of this, Bitcoin acts like a universal mirror, reflecting economic truths without distortion. Since every past model of society was built on economic and political systems dependent on currencies that were eventually manipulated, there's no historical framework for where we're going. A truly cooperative protocol changes all the rules, and in time, our thoughts and actions, as we gain greater awareness of this state change. Consider the following first principle. The natural state of a free market is deflation. This should seem obvious since every innovation or company competes locally or globally with what came before it. As users or buyers, we make choices based on what offers us more value. It is the survival of the fittest in a global competition to deliver better outcomes. The result of that competition is that prices fall to their marginal costs of production, and all of society wins as prices fall and value increases. If a monopoly holds margins high for a time, those margins create a prime target for entrepreneurs to attack with creative ideas, ultimately delivering more value to society. In other words, monopolies only exist through regulations and cannot survive long in a free market. If we truly lived in a global free market, prices would keep falling forever, enriching all 8 billion people on this planet through cooperative and competitive processes. Moreover, as artificial intelligence and robots took on more of the work, prices would fall even faster, rendering many traditional jobs we thought we needed to maintain quality of life in the old paradigm unnecessary. Eventually, 8 billion people would be in service to 8 billion people. Now compare this vision to the world you're probably giving your time and energy to. If the natural state of a free market is deflation, then you do not live in a free market. You never have. Any innovation from the implied deflationary rate of an economy extracts the productivity that should flow to us in the form of lower prices. This transfer also has a second-order effect of concentration of power. It enriches some while impoverishing others. Worse still, this manipulated transfer of wealth leads to misallocation of capital, expansion of government, centralization of power, erosion of individual rights and freedoms, and lower living standards. Because free markets, which are inherently more productive, must be sacrificed to sustain ever greater manipulation. Historically, this dynamic cycle has ended in world wars, currency resets by the, quote, winner of the war, and promises to never repeat the mistakes, only for the extractive process to begin again. Now we can see how these two systems are fundamentally incompatible. One system thrives on freedom and abundance through falling prices of a global free market, and one thrives on scarcity and control, or wars and reset, through the stealing of those productivity gains. They are opposites. This is why the journey down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin creates a cognitive dissonance in our minds. Former beliefs are challenged and disrupted, creating mental discomfort as we struggle to reconcile new truths with old, contradictory assumptions. This divergence creates chaos and confusion as the cooperative system imposes its reality on outdated beliefs. Because we've never lived in a truly cooperative system, we lack a mental framework for a world where automation and artificial intelligence free us from labor, making us cling to the perceived, quote, safety of an extractive model that steals our time and energy. Worse still, that perceived, quote, safety comes from wealth confiscation from society and concentrated into an increasingly centralized and controlled apparatus. An invisible power structure made stronger by our continued actions within it. As with all great discoveries, from Galileo peering outside the system with his telescope to see a galaxy without the Earth at the center, to Michael Faraday's discovery of a hidden electromagnetic force that was always around us, ideas that change our deepest convictions take time to be understood. They spread slowly and individually before cascading across society through our interactions and embedding themselves in the collective consciousness as they touch us all. But why? Where do our thoughts originate? What unseen forces shape the ideas that define us? What seems like an innocuous question is far deeper than we might realize. Our thoughts, words, and actions are shaped by our history, environment, and the people around us. What we perceive as original thoughts are often emergent, shaped by external influences. While they may feel personal, they are the sum of countless influences exerted upon you by all those who have walked the path before you and those who are walking with you now. What you consider you, then, is not just you in isolation. You carry within you the essence of everyone who has ever touched your life. We are both the map and the territory, all connected, because we are all connected and always have been. We are an intricate web of these influences, each one of us essential, each one of us a ripple expanding through the fabric of time. The mere reflection of the world we see, driven by these thoughts, is different for each of us, depending on our experiences. A Tibetan monk, a Wall Street banker, and a mother trying to care for her kids in North Korea may have vastly different realities, each according to their own environment and their unique view of the world. That insight brings us to a deeper question connected to our consciousness. If our prevailing thoughts throughout human history arise from a hidden structure based on extraction, how might we think differently if we lived in a system of cooperation? Could we even recognize the true cost of the system we perpetuate? To ourselves? To others? This is why Bitcoin is more than a monetary system. It's a tool for awakening. It forces us to confront the unseen structures shaping our lives, structures we've long accepted without question. As long as we question the mechanics of money, we begin to question everything, our beliefs, our actions, and the systems we sustain. We begin to see the choice before us, one that each of us is a part of. For if we say we want to live in truth, hope, and abundance, but then, through our own actions, give our time and energy to a system of extraction, who would we look to for blame? This is a journey that I know intimately. For years, I taught and deeply understood Bitcoin's potential to move humanity forward. Yet, I spent much of my time serving on boards and working within extractive systems because I believed I, quote, needed the money. It took a profound moment of clarity to recognize my own hypocrisy, advocating for a new paradigm while strengthening the old one through my actions. In my choice to move more of my time to Bitcoin, I also realized that the world doesn't just happen to us. It never has. Through our thoughts, words, and actions, we shape reality. The search for greater truths and the overcoming obstacles has always shaped our progress. Old ideas making way for new and better ones. This process is often messy, chaotic, and even painful, but also hopeful and beautiful. The choice is before each of us to remain complicit in extraction, coercion, and scarcity, or to embrace truth, hope, and abundance. This is why the journey to understand Bitcoin is more than a monetary shift. It's a shift in consciousness. I was fortunate enough to meet Daniella at a conference in Madeira, Portugal, where she came to see me speak. In her, I found someone dedicated to bringing a new dimension to a complex topic. One that is really about each of us. There was no ask and no expectation on either end. Just two people coming together, finding something special in each other. As you listen to my friend Daniella's insightful work in this recording, I would ask you to keep an open and curious mind about Bitcoin and where we're heading. There is a deep connection to the work of sages, visionaries, philosophers, and prophets throughout time. If you feel that something is wrong, if you sense that the system extracts more than it gives, but cannot yet articulate why, this book is for you. It might challenge you, unsettle you, but if you let it, it might also liberate you. The question is not about Bitcoin. It's about you. Will you continue to participate in a system that extracts from you, your loved ones, and humanity? Or will you step into a system of hope, peace, cooperation, and abundance? Enjoy the journey. Jeff Booth, December 2024. Introduction. Many feel the world is weighed down by darkness, global crises, economic uncertainty, division, and the relentless stream of distressing news contribute to a pervasive sense of fear and anxiety. Yet for others, a different experience of reality prevails, one characterized by connection, cooperation, and abundance. What lies beneath this stark contrast is the understanding that we create our reality, and our darkest moments often precede the dawn of a new beginning. Both our individual and collective shadows are coming into awareness, seeking to be acknowledged, as the challenges of recent years reveal some of humanity's darkest manifestations. These trials urge us to awaken, reclaim our power, and choose a higher path together. This is an invitation to take responsibility for our lives, our energy, and our experiences by healing, embracing our sovereignty, and recognizing the resilience within us all. The sadness, guilt, and shame we carry are rising to the surface, not to overwhelm us, but to be acknowledged, felt, and ultimately released. This awakening has already inspired millions to ask questions, seek deeper truths, and choose self-liberation. If you too are willing to question the reality around you, you may discover your own path out of the darkness and into the light. A few years ago, burdened by the shadows, I also embarked on a deep search for truth and light. On this journey, I experienced and witnessed the rapid global awakening taking place within two major communities I'm a part of: the Western spiritual community and the Bitcoin ecosystem. Inspired by two remarkable wayshowers, Jeff Booth, visionary thought leader, Bitcoiner, and entrepreneur, and Christina Lopes, spiritual teacher, healer, and entrepreneur, I found what I was looking for: an actionable and hopeful path forward. Their views of the world resonated deeply with me, expanding my perspective and inspiring me to step into my power. A challenge with modern thinking lies in how we've divided knowledge into rigid, isolated categories: physics, economics, spirituality, philosophy, and psychology, each treated in silos, as if they exist independently. But life, in all its complexity, does not adhere to such boundaries. Life unfolds as an intricate web of interconnected processes where the rules of one domain seamlessly blend into another. Our tendency to compartmentalize science and spirituality blinds us to the bigger picture. They're all speaking the same universal truth in different languages. Even religions, when stripped of dogma, hierarchy, and man-made control structures, are fundamentally pointing to the same essence. By clinging to the belief that each silo holds all the answers, we not only limit our understanding, but also miss the profound unity that exists when these fields are allowed to interact freely. Together, they reveal a more complete and awe-inspiring perspective than what each could offer alone. This book represents the summation of my unconventional life path, shaped by challenges that forged resilience, interdisciplinary truth-seeking, and the wisdom of extraordinary visionaries who have paved the way before me. It bridges distinct yet interconnected realms, offering not just information, but a radical new way of understanding reality. A transformative paradigm shift. I aim to guide you on an inner journey that bridges the spiritual, energetic, and esoteric realms with the scientific, financial, and economic spheres. Together, we will question our individual and collective reality, revealing the hidden aspects that limit our experience of true liberation, authentic self-sovereignty, and deeper free will. This exploration will go beyond what most spiritual teachings offer, delving into the hidden layers of the collective subconscious. By deconstructing these belief systems, I hope to guide you to uncover deeper truths within yourself and explore a path forward to reclaim our power and experience an abundant, radiant new earth. We will begin with understanding two major spheres of our programming: the individual matrix and the systemic matrix. The individual matrix delves into the interconnected, multidimensional aspects of the self: mental, emotional, physical, energetic, and spiritual, shaped by the programming we received during childhood. While individual and collective efforts such as meditation and spiritual practices can lead to meaningful progress, they alone are not enough for lasting collective transformation. We cannot meditate our way into the abundant collective future we envision while operating within a larger system designed to anchor us in scarcity and ego consciousness. Therefore, we will also focus on the systemic matrix, which includes societal programming, as well as systemic programming from the collective global socioeconomic structure that directly affects each and every one of us on a deep subconscious level. While the spiritual community often focuses on the individual matrix, it frequently overlooks the profound impact of systemic programming. This is where Bitcoiners excel having keenly grasped the inner workings of the system by questioning the foundational role that money plays in anchoring our 3D reality. To experience true free will, we must question the greater systemic reality that shapes our lives and understand our collective systemic programming. Only then can we move toward a world imbued with the light we so deeply desire. On this topic, together, we will challenge and release outdated, misleading spiritual teachings that have held back our growth and expansion. We will combine the teachings of both groups while breaking down any community-specific concepts, terminology, or jargon into simple terms, revealing universal laws free from the distortions of the current system. We will examine how Bitcoin serves as the 4D transition system, lifting the human collective into 5D unity consciousness. Lastly, we will glimpse the new earth awaiting us at the end of this transformative journey, the light at the end of the tunnel. What compelled me to write this book was the realization that we are all climbing the same mountain, but viewing it from different yet equally valuable perspectives. The spiritual community sees the peak, but is blinded to a critical part of the path ahead, while Bitcoiners clearly see the collective path forward, but some fail to see the summit. Too often, there is judgment between these communities. Spiritual seekers may see Bitcoin as complicated, unuseful, or even a scam, while Bitcoiners may view the spiritual community as ungrounded, unfounded, or unscientific. By moving beyond these misconceptions, we can uncover the profound ways in which these views complete and enrich each other, revealing the unique strengths of a larger vision. We are stronger together. By uniting our efforts, we become the rising tide that lifts all ships. Free will is our greatest power, the ability to consciously shape our reality through aligned choices and actions, both grounded in our true desires and values. I hope this book inspires you to embrace expanded freedom and deeper self-sovereignty in this lifetime. This journey may even lead you beyond money altogether. Preface. There are 8 billion truths on Earth, one for each person, and each individual's perception of truth is valid in its own right. What we believe to be true shapes how we experience the world. If we believe we are free, even in the confines of a prison, we are free. Conversely, if we see ourselves as victims of our circumstances, our reality will reflect that victimhood. These individual truths shape our unique perspectives. Our perspectives are our individual truths shaped by our experiences, biases, emotions, assumptions, beliefs, values, and cultural backgrounds. These influences make perspectives inherently subjective and relative. Thus, they can influence our understanding of truth. For instance, an individual's perspective of a historical event may be shaped by their cultural background, education, and personal experiences, which in turn affects their interpretation of the truth surrounding that event. These truths may evolve over time, yet they remain genuine and meaningful to the individual in the moment they hold them as true. Understanding this distinction is crucial for differentiating between perspectives and universal laws throughout this book. While an individual's perspective is subjective and valid for them, it does not guarantee that the collective will acknowledge or validate their personal reality. While there are as many perspectives as there are humans on the planet, there are only a few universal laws. Universal laws are natural laws of the universe, collective truths grounded in irrefutable evidence and empirical data. Unlike personal opinions, biases, or perspectives, universal laws are based on a set of immutable and unchanging principles that govern our universe. They are absolute, objective, and reliable. Some universal laws, affirmed by spirituality and validated by science, include the law of gravity, a fundamental principle in physics that describes the force of attraction between two objects with mass, applicable in physical reality. The law of attraction, a principle suggesting we draw into our lives what aligns with our focus and vibrational frequency, a concept that parallels the resonance phenomena in physics, where systems naturally respond to frequencies that match their own. The law of one, the concept that everything is interconnected and part of a larger unified whole, explored in science in the principle of least action, the conservation of energy and momentum, quantum mechanics, and the unified field theories. Throughout this book, I will expose you to several universal laws. While they are emphasized in gray boxes in the book, I will present them with longer pauses in this recording. I invite you to challenge these truths and attempt to disprove them on your own. This will help reinforce your comprehension of why these principles are not merely perspectives, but undeniable laws governing reality on Earth. Based on this understanding, universal laws appear to be some of the most consistent and reliable principles. However, it's important to recognize that these principles may sometimes seem at odds with personal perspectives, and we may consciously or subconsciously refuse to believe them. For instance, some individuals embrace the belief that abundance in money creates abundance for all. While this view may hold personal truth for some, it doesn't necessarily align with established universal laws governing reality. This raises an important question. Why do we hold certain beliefs or come to accept them without questioning their validity? A key explanation lies in cognitive bias. Cognitive bias refers to the brain's tendency to create a subjective reality based on personal perceptions and assumptions about incoming information. It stems from our brain's need to simplify complex information, which influences how we perceive, interpret, and remember our experiences. Our cognitive biases shape our behavior and interactions, often leading to self-deception, which causes us to cling to beliefs even when confronted with evidence that contradicts them. Uncomfortable truths may be minimized or overlooked. These biases shape our thinking, leading us to conclusions that can be inconsistent or lead to suboptimal decisions. What we are experiencing right now is a world governed by distorted universal laws, where individual perceptions are being positioned as universal truths. As we delve deeper into how systemic programming is ruling our lives through the collective subconscious, it is crucial to remain aware of cognitive bias. This is especially important as we examine the possibility that the validity of universal laws may hinge on our state of consciousness. Consciousness is the detached state of awareness and perception, encompassing thoughts, emotions, and sensations, while also providing the capacity for reflection and self-observation. It involves the ability to be present in the moment and engage in deeper contemplation about identity, purpose, and existence. Much like everything else, consciousness is energy. Energy, in both scientific and metaphysical terms, is the fundamental force that sustains all existence. It manifests in various forms: physical, like light and motion, and subtle, like vibrations or intention, acting as the driving force behind all change, movement, and interactions in the universe. Through consciousness, we experience and navigate various dimensions, overlapping planes of existence that coexist within the same space, each with its own vibrational frequency. You might already be familiar with these concepts that are foundational in physics. Think of Einstein's relativity, which describes our universe as a four-dimensional space-time, or string theory, that proposes additional hidden superimposed planes. These dimensions are not separate physical locations, but different wavelengths, layers of reality that influence how we perceive and interact with the world. In this lifetime on Earth, we find ourselves in a third dimension, a 3D reality, one marked by a tangible, physical existence composed of matter and governed by the law of space-time. The universal law of space-time. In order for an object to exist, it must have width, height, and depth, space, as well as a past, present, and future, time. From a spiritual perspective, dimensions are overlapping planes housing states of consciousness. In this sense, 3D reality is characterized by ego consciousness, the awareness of oneself as an individual, distinct and separate from others. This state is deeply intertwined with the physical body and encompasses our beliefs, perceptions, emotions, desires, and attachments, all reinforcing the sense of being a separate self. Ego consciousness is shaped by conditioned thought patterns, including memories, opinions, and beliefs, which feed into a personal identity centered on survival and self-preservation. Driven by the desire to protect or enhance our self-worth, we seek love, validation, and belonging externally, often through comparison, competition, social status, power, and financial gain. This pursuit can lead to conditional love, judgment, and expectations, fostering dense emotions such as guilt, shame, anger, pride, and fear. Clinging to people, possessions, beliefs, or outcomes weakens our personal sovereignty. It ties our self-worth to external factors and holds us back from experiencing true freedom. Buddhism teaches that while pain is an inevitable part of life, suffering arises from craving and attachment to the physical world. In many spiritual circles, the 3D realm is seen as a low-density, low-vibrational space, often associated with unconsciousness. Similarly, in the Bitcoin community, there's a tendency to label those who remain within this paradigm as no-coiners, muggles, or normies. These terms reflect the belief that those outside of the community remain confined to the matrix, a repetitive cycle of deep conditioning within a larger system often derided as clown world. Both perspectives share the idea that transcending this perceived contracted state of awareness is essential for achieving a greater understanding of reality or expanded consciousness. And yet, to truly understand the 3D, we must see it as neither inherently good nor bad, It simply is. It serves as a necessary realm for growth, uniquely shaping each individual's journey through challenges, experiences, and lessons. From a higher perspective, our souls chose to incarnate into this dimension to learn, evolve, and awaken to a deeper understanding of who we are. While we define ourselves by surface-level identifiers, our name, job, or past experiences, these roles and labels are just constructs of the 3D world. At our core, we are the I Am, the conscious awareness that transcends physicality. As multidimensional beings having a human experience, we are both the observer of this journey and the active participant shaping it. Consciousness experiencing itself through form, bridging the gap between the tangible physical realm and the intangible infinite universe. The goal, as explored throughout this book, is to awaken to this truth, reclaiming our power, taking responsibility, and ultimately achieving self-liberation beyond the systemic confines into which we were born. We are currently being presented with the choice of remaining in imposed ego consciousness in the 3D or evolving into an expanded state of consciousness in the 5D. Part of this journey will require us to pass through a fourth dimension, 4D. The 4D is a realm of transition where individuals may oscillate between both dimensions, influenced by their evolving state of awareness and conscious decisions. While physics views the 4D as time, metaphysics sees it as an intermediary spatial dimension, a realm of transition where individuals oscillate between the 3D and the 5D, influenced by their evolving state of awareness and conscious choices. We shape our trajectory from the space of choice through the lessons we embrace or resist, and the decisions we make, whether actively or passively. From a metaphysical perspective, humanity is currently transitioning through the 4D, where failing to engage or resisting growth can lead to stagnation or regression in the 3D. However, embracing responsibility and change can guide us towards the 5D. The 4D transition system that will usher the collective into the 5D is Bitcoin. At a first glance, this idea may seem surprising, but it forms the core thesis of this book. The new system offers humanity a direct pathway to a higher, more connected timeline. This expanded state of awareness, known as unity consciousness, aligns with the fifth dimension, 5D. As mentioned earlier, it's essential to recognize that the 5D is not a separate, distant realm, but an expanded state of consciousness that we can access here and now. In this state, we engage with the physical world without becoming attached to people, places, or outcomes. Rather than identifying with our thoughts, we embody the witness, the observer. Echoing Jean-Paul Sartre's insight, the consciousness that says I am is not the consciousness that thinks. While pain is part of our experience, suffering is minimal, as unity consciousness allows us to maintain a higher perspective that transcends the turmoil of the 3D. This state of being does not signify indifference. Rather, it brings an unwavering sense of care and compassion, rooted in authenticity, integrity, selflessness, vulnerability, and unconditional love. Unity consciousness reveals our intrinsic connection to all of humanity, animals, plants, and the universe at large. This principle is beautifully captured by the Bitcoin community's sentiment, "We are all Satoshi." While we are diverse expressions of the same origin, it's important to remember that unity does not imply uniformity, as Indian philosopher Sri Aurobindo eloquently stated. Unity celebrates unique, sovereign individuals who act in service of the collective, as opposed to uniformity, which seeks to erase differences or impose restrictive control, as seen in systems like communism. I believe spirituality transcends the boundaries of organized religion, moving beyond dogma and doctrine to reveal an underlying philosophy that empowers the individual. It allows for a direct experience of a higher power, free from third-party intermediaries and rigid interpretations. To me, spirituality is a journey of self-knowledge, self-empowerment, and self-sovereignty, unmediated by systems or institutions. Self-sovereignty is the inherent right to personal autonomy, responsibility, and the freedom to pursue one's interests, provided it does not infringe on the rights of others. Organized religion, on the other hand, often requires intermediaries to convey teachings through texts shaped by historical and cultural contexts. Neither path is inherently better or worse. They simply offer different routes to a deeper understanding of reality. With this in mind, when referencing religious figures, I will focus on the universal truths of their teachings to highlight their shared wisdom. Similarly, when I speak of source, I refer to the fundamental origin of all things. You may see it as the universe, God, or any term that resonates with you, or no name at all. The key idea is that we come from the same essence, whether that be the Big Bang, stardust, or another concept, making each of us a unique expression of the collective. We are like unique waves within the vast ocean, each of us an expression of the whole. In many spiritual traditions, unity consciousness is understood as embodying source in physical form. In Christian mysticism, it is often referred to as Christ consciousness, a state of being in unconditional love, compassion, and unity with all of creation. This idea echoes other religions as well. In Buddhism, for instance, the concept of enlightenment reflects a similar pursuit, individuals transcending ego and the deceptive nature of reality to realize their inherent oneness with the universe. In Hinduism, Atman, the individual soul, is seen as the manifestation of Brahman, the universal spirit. These teachings, whether framed as Christ consciousness or unity, suggest that our physical lives are opportunities to merge the material and the divine, unlocking our deeper, transcendent nature. This idea is reflected in the concept of the New Earth. While it may be expressed through different names, such as Eden, Nirvana, or the Promised Land, this vision of an ideal state appears across various spiritual traditions, including Christianity, New Age thought, and indigenous prophecies. The New Earth embodies a twofold experience, beginning with an internal shift in awareness, followed by an external transformation in how we perceive reality. Beyond dogma, it is a vision of a collective shift in consciousness where humanity lives in harmony with the planet. As our internal world transforms to expanded states of awareness, so too does our outer world, allowing us to access more of that which cannot be perceived by our five senses. While the spiritual community is generally aware of these realms, a significant aspect is still overlooked: the collective path forward. I believe it is time to address this missing piece. I understand that what I will share may feel challenging at first. After all, this is a significant paradigm shift, a fundamental change in our belief systems or the way we understand and view the world. So it's normal. These things take time to process and integrate. Deconstructing our understanding of the world and embracing a new perspective is a journey, and both the spiritual and Bitcoin paths demand an open mind and an open heart. I encourage you to approach this transformative experience with patience for yourself and others. As you read, question, and challenge these ideas while exploring what resonates with you. I, too, am on this journey of discovery and growth alongside you. While my individual truths may evolve over time, the universal laws we're about to explore will remain steadfast. These pages do not claim to offer the ultimate truth or a complete view of reality. Instead, they weave together insights from great thinkers, teachers who have been mentors, and my personal experience to provide a perspective that may help us better understand existence and our role in shaping it. My hope is that these ideas expand your free will and broaden your experience of reality. I am thrilled about our collective future and grateful to share this journey with you. Section 1. Ego Consciousness Imposed by Fiat. When we enter this world, we are innocent and untainted, unburdened by bias or prejudice. As newborns, we have no preconceived notions, unshaped by the influences of caretakers, culture, society, or our environment. This natural state is fleeting as we begin to absorb the beliefs, opinions, and attitudes of those around us. Gradually, we are programmed, not by choice, but by exposure. Childhood programming refers to the process by which beliefs, behaviors, emotional responses, and cognitive patterns become ingrained during our formative years. This programming is shaped by our experiences, interactions, and expectations from family members and caregivers, which in turn form our ego, the mental structure that defines our sense of self, often influenced by external forces. These early influences lay the foundation of our core beliefs and habitual responses, which persist into adulthood, impacting our coping mechanisms, self-esteem, and relationships. From a very young age, we are also exposed to systemic programming, the process through which we internalize the norms, values, beliefs, and behaviors deemed acceptable by the system into which we were born. Rooted in our Fiat-based economic structure, this programming subtly governs our thoughts, actions, and interactions. Mass media, political discourse, schooling, and cultural traditions reinforce these expectations through our societal programming, shaping our perceptions of identity, success, gender roles, and social behavior while profoundly influencing our career choices, relationships, and worldview. Together, childhood, societal, and systemic programming shape us, profoundly influencing our sense of self in adulthood. our individual matrix forms through early programming, gradually clouding our innate innocence, while societal influences mold us to adhere to the systemic matrix. Realizing that we've been programmed can lead us to question who we truly are and how we can regain control over our lives. To begin this journey toward authentic self-sovereignty, we need to explore how both of these operating systems forge our identity, dictate how we allocate our time, and how they are designed to keep us anchored in ego consciousness within a 3D framework of reality. The individual matrix. The individual matrix encompasses all physical and non-physical aspects of the self. Our mental, emotional, physical, energy, and spiritual bodies. The mental body pertains to the mind and consists of thoughts, beliefs, memories, and intellectual processes. Our emotional body contains all our feelings, reflecting the emotional responses we have to different situations. The physical body is the most tangible and observable aspect of our being, consisting of the biological and physiological systems that sustain life. The energy body includes various energy systems, such as chakras, meridians, and the aura, which are believed to channel and distribute life force energy, known as prana or chi, throughout the body. Chakras consist of 7 main energy centers located along the spine, each associated with different physical, emotional, and spiritual functions. Meridians are vital energy pathways in traditional Chinese medicine, and the aura is an energy field surrounding the physical body, consisting of several layers that reflect the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual states of a person. Lastly, the spiritual body represents the deepest, most intangible layer of our being, associated with our sense of purpose, intuition, inner essence, and divine connection. Together with the energy body, these two aspects form what is often called the light body. It is crucial to understand how these aspects of ourselves are deeply influenced by subconscious childhood programming. Until we become aware of this programming, we risk repeating familiar cycles from childhood, remaining trapped in an individual matrix grounded in ego consciousness. Childhood programming. Quote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." End quote. Carl Jung. The family into which we were born has a direct impact on our individual matrix through childhood programming. Shortly after birth, our experiences with caregivers are directly stored into our subconscious mind, which operates from a highly suggestible, deeply hypnotic brainwave state. The subconscious is the part of the mind that operates below the state of conscious awareness and holds all long-term memories, fears, emotions, values, and beliefs. It also encompasses the autonomic nervous system, regulating all of our homeostatic impulses like body temperature, heart rate, and breathing. The brain's survival instinct forms patterns during childhood, based on our environment and experiences, to protect us from perceived threats. During the first 2 years of life, children predominantly operate in the delta brainwave state. Brainwaves are electrical impulses in the brain that reflect different states of consciousness, specifically the measurable electrical activity of the brain, which can be measured using an electroencephalogram with a frequency range of 0.5 to 4 Hz, Delta waves are the slowest brain waves and are often associated with deep sleep, growth, and brain development in children. The dominance of delta waves means that infants and toddlers absorb language, emotions, and behaviors from their caregivers and environment directly into the subconscious mind, even when awake. Between the ages of 2 and 6, theta waves, 4 to 8 hertz, become more prevalent, supporting rapid brain growth and development. In the theta state, children subconsciously absorb language, social cues, expectations, behaviors, and worldviews. It is through these highly suggestive delta and theta brainwave states that our deepest childhood programming is embedded into our psyche. Some of us received nurturing programming, rooted in unconditional love within safe environments as children. Supportive childhood environments foster resilience, sound relationships, and a healthy sense of self-confidence into adulthood. However, many of us grew up in dysfunctional environments, characterized by verbal, psychological, emotional, physical, financial, and/or spiritual abuse, often expressed through addiction, mental illness, neglect, codependency, or domestic violence. Such environments can lead to struggles with emotional regulation, self-worth, and relationship dynamics. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 3 in 4 children, aged 2 to 4, regularly face physical punishment or psychological violence at the hands of parents and caregivers, while 1 in 5 women and 1 in 13 men report being sexually abused as children. Dysfunctional childhood environments often lack boundaries, are steeped in denial, and involve controlling behaviors, with caregivers using apathy, guilt, shame, and contempt to manipulate those around them. In his powerful book, The Tao of Fully Feeling, 1995, Pete Walker, psychotherapist and survivor of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which, rather than being a one-time event like PTSD, takes place over a long period of time, generally spanning childhood, states, quote, "Many dysfunctional families are like mini cults. The parents inculcate their children with their beliefs and values when they are completely impressionable. Thereafter, they harshly punish any deviation in thinking or behaving." End quote. In such dysfunctional environments, children often endure depression, stress, fear, and anxiety. These disempowering experiences can have lasting impacts, from hypervigilance to the belief that love is conditional, something that must be earned rather than an intrinsic part of who we are. Our internalized childhood beliefs shape how we experience ourselves and the world, often defining our sense of worth and safety. Detrimental beliefs formed in response to early experiences can foster patterns such as people-pleasing, perfectionism, or feelings of inadequacy. While these responses may have been necessary for survival or acceptance in childhood, if left unchanged, they can persist into adulthood, influencing our emotional well-being and relationships in ways that no longer serve us. Without conscious awareness, the subconscious mind continues to replay these ingrained patterns, driving our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors based on restrictive perceptions of what we needed to feel secure as children. Understanding this is vital because what we perceive in the external world is a direct reflection of our internal state. The universal law of mirroring, also known as the law of correspondence, our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, as within, so without. If we still carry survival-based childhood programming, we unconsciously attract and repeat similar dysfunctional situations in adulthood. Our mind, influenced by past experiences, is naturally inclined to recreate familiar patterns, even if they're painful. This tendency arises from an instinctive preference for the known over the uncertainty of the unknown, which is often perceived by our brains as threatening and uncontrollable. When left unaddressed, these detrimental beliefs and ensuing behaviors can be passed down from parent to child, leading to generational trauma. For example, a child who experiences abuse is more likely to perpetuate abuse into their own relationships as an adult. Physical reality is a mirror. If we want to change it, we must first change ourselves. Just as our reflection smiles when we smile, reality shifts in response to our inner state. Our thoughts shape our experience, so to transform the world around us, we must first transform within. In this context, the law of resonance suggests that our individual matrix emits a unique frequency, drawing in and harmonizing with similar vibrations from our surroundings. Universal law of resonance. This principle posits that everything in the universe vibrates at a particular frequency, and similar frequencies resonate with each other. Our vibrational frequency is the rate at which our holistic being vibrates, the sum of our mental, emotional, physical, energetic, and spiritual bodies. Thoughts lead to emotions, which drive our actions and behaviors, which in turn regulate our overall vibrational frequency and spiritual alignment. Essentially, the energy we emit through our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors will naturally draw corresponding energies and experiences into our lives like a magnet. Understanding the law of vibration and how to change our vibrational frequency offers a powerful way to break free from detrimental patterns, fostering an expansive transformation at both individual and generational levels. Universal law of vibration. Everything in the universe is in perpetual movement. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This law encapsulates how absolutely everything around us, our physical bodies down to the core of each of our cells, is vibrating energy fields in constant motion. What appears solid and motionless is actually an incessant movement of molecules, atoms, electrons, and particles vibrating at a specific frequency. This includes the densest of objects, such as metal or rocks, and intangible frequencies like radio waves and thoughts. Understanding these concepts is crucial, since the subconscious beliefs we form in childhood are also energy and continue to resonate in our individual matrix, influencing what we attract into our lives as adults. The universal law of attraction. The law of attraction is a universal principle that suggests like attracts like, drawing parallels to resonance and energy alignment in physics. Based on the law of attraction, when it comes to our thoughts, empowering beliefs expand our vibrational frequency and attract favorable outcomes, while disempowering beliefs draw in low vibrational experiences. The law of attraction posits that detrimental subconscious thoughts stemming from childhood programming can lead to perpetuating familiar patterns and experiences in adulthood. Like everything else in the universe, thoughts are a form of energy, and energy itself can never be destroyed. Instead, it can only be transformed. The universal law of transmutation. Known as the law of conservation of energy, or the first law of thermodynamics in science, this law states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted from one form to another. This also applies to physical, emotional, and mental energy from a metaphysical perspective. By integrating the universal laws of mirroring, vibration, resonance, attraction, and transmutation, we understand how shifting our beliefs about ourselves and the world directly alters our reality. Those who are raised in unconditional love or who have worked through their trauma are generally more aware of their personal power and sovereignty. This awareness makes it much easier to naturally experience expanded 5D states of consciousness. In contrast, those raised in dysfunction and who do not address their underlying limiting programming are more likely to remain in 3D ego consciousness. Understanding and reprogramming our individual matrix is crucial for self-liberation, particularly for those born into families that have passed down generational trauma. We're not responsible for our trauma, but we hold the power and responsibility to heal from it. As psychologist Carl Jung's teachings suggest, we are not defined by our past, but rather by the choices we make about who we wish to become. No matter how profound our internal darkness may seem, our greatest power lies in our inherent ability to transform our experience of reality. Our deepest traumas can give rise to the most profound and empowering experiences when we choose the journey of self-discovery, growth, and healing. Individual evolution. Also known as ego death, a spiritual awakening is a period of time during which we call into question all aspects of our lives. It's an intense process of becoming aware of our subconscious beliefs and healing, leading to individual evolution. A spiritual awakening can occur spontaneously or be triggered by significant life events like a divorce, job loss, or near-death experience. Similarly, large-scale systemic events can lead entire groups to experience spiritual awakenings. Wars, terrorist attacks, financial crises, and pandemics have prompted millions to re-examine their belief systems, behaviors, decisions, attitudes, patterns, prejudices, and priorities. For example, many spiritual teachers have observed an acceleration in spiritual awakenings since the 2020 COVID-19 lockdowns. As Eckhart Tolle observed, quote, "To recognize one's own insanity is, of course, the arising of sanity, the beginning of healing and transcendence." End quote. This journey typically begins with the question, is this all there is to my life? The process generally unfolds in several stages, one of which is the dark night of the soul, a profound period of inner turmoil and spiritual crisis, where one feels disconnected from their sense of purpose and identity. This stage often acts as a catalyst for deep transformation, leading to greater self-awareness, spiritual growth, and a renewed sense of meaning after acknowledging repressed emotions and transmuting resurfacing trauma. During this questioning phase, we may reconsider how we allocate our time, energy, and resources, realizing we are unhappy, even if we have everything we thought we ever wanted, or that we feel lost. A spiritual awakening is akin to the metaphor of the phoenix, the destruction of the old to make way for the new, and usually culminates in an understanding of our unique life mission and stepping into our power. Through this process, some individuals may realize that they are light workers, souls who have incarnated to participate in rising the vibrational frequency of the collective. To be clear, there are no, quote, chosen ones. Anyone can be a light worker, actively reaching a hand into the darkness to pull another into the light, to quote Norman B. Rice. In spirituality, lightworkers are considered the pioneers of a new era and can range from iconic figures to anonymous individuals. They make a deliberate choice to work with high-frequency energy, driven by their commitment to positively impact the world. Quote, "The power source that runs all of life is light. To awaken to that knowledge and to desire to operate in that realm and to believe that it is possible are all factors that will put you there." End quote. Dolores Cannon, 2001. Our five senses, vision, touch, smell, taste, and hearing, are designed to help us navigate the 3D realm. However, we also have six sensibilities that allow us to perceive, experience, and navigate higher dimensions. In childhood, some of us naturally had the ability to see things others do not, like imaginary friends. In ego-driven environments, these innate gifts are often dismissed, discouraged, or repressed. In contrast, a spiritual awakening, which typically occurs later in life, may catalyze an unexpected resurgence of these repressed or dormant abilities. During an awakening, individuals may revisit or become more attuned to their six senses, integrating these experiences into a broader, more profound understanding of reality. A spiritual awakening not only transforms the individual, but also creates a ripple effect that influences the collective consciousness, a dynamic space comprising the evolving shared beliefs, ideas, emotions, and thoughts of humanity as a whole, raising the vibrational frequency of everyone around us. As more people awaken and liberate themselves from limiting childhood programming, they contribute to a global shift in awareness. This inner transformation is more urgent than ever, as the collective experiences its own dark night of the soul. Collective evolution. As we begin to question whether there's more to life, we may sense a deep desire for something greater, something more fulfilling, that transcends the material world. This could also bring a deeper sense of connection to others, as well as the greater reality that surrounds us. While individuals in the spiritual space might not be fazed by the upcoming esoteric topics, much of what follows surpasses the logical mind, inviting you to connect with intuition, deep emotion, and a sense of knowing beyond words. While skepticism is appropriate and crucial, I encourage any science-oriented readers to simply allow the information to flow. As you listen, questions or objections may arise. These will likely be addressed later on in the book, or they may fade as you connect more deeply with your inner wisdom. Dolores Cannon, a practicing hypnotherapist in the 1960s, was profoundly impacted when many of her clients undergoing deep hypnosis began sharing similar details, explaining why their souls chose to come to Earth. In her book, The 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth, 2011, Dolores presents the culmination of experiences with thousands of clients, including dozens of transcribed sessions. These accounts and recollections converge on a significant event in 1945, when atomic bombs detonated during World War II. Cosmic forces reportedly declared it was necessary to take action to prevent further interstellar interference. Earth, as a small part of a much larger cosmic system, was seen as a critical point of concern. The destruction of our planet via atomic bombs would directly reverberate and have a devastating effect on other planets, beings, and dimensions beyond our galaxy. According to these accounts, if humanity were to reach the point of using atomic bombs, these cosmic forces would have to step in to prevent such a catastrophic event. Dolores Cannon explains that due to the directive of non-interference, reminiscent of the Prime Directive in the TV show Star Trek, external interference from extraterrestrials is prohibited. This means that extraterrestrials are forbidden from directly intervening with human life or meddling with our development because of our birthright free will on Earth. Universal law of free will. Free will is our autonomous ability to make free agent choices that align with our values, beliefs, and moral principles without external influence or coercion. Although many spiritual teachers believe that free will is a universal law, this concept remains widely debated across various fields, including science, spirituality, philosophy, and psychology. Some argue that our free will may be constrained by destiny or the soul's pre-birth plan. According to Dolores' work, extra-dimensional beings can offer us gifts for the purpose of evolution, such as information, knowledge, technologies, and teachings. Example, fire, astrology, agriculture, or channeled messages. However, how we choose to utilize these gifts remains a matter of our own free will. For the purpose of this book, we will assume that the universal law of free will applies, while challenging its scope through the lens of our programming. Going back to the pivotal events of 1945, given the urgency of the situation, cosmic forces decided to influence humanity from within the planet to prevent Earth's destruction. Rather than intervening from the outside, they issued a cosmic call. Quote, "Earth is in trouble. Who wants to volunteer?" End quote. The message sought willing souls to incarnate as humans in order to assist the ascension of frequencies within the planet. The goal was to usher in a new Earth based on light and love rather than darkness and fear. According to the information Dolores Cannon received from her clients, our world was going to profoundly transform in the next few decades with the help of these volunteer souls. Dolores Cannon is far from being the only individual to have shared such accounts. Renowned speakers and channels of extra-dimensional entities have confirmed that humanity is currently experiencing a profound awakening. Bashar, an extra-dimensional entity channeled by Daryl Anka, explores this idea in detail, referring to it as a timeline split. The Raw Material, 1981-1994, channeled by Carla L. Ruckert, called it the Harvest, and Cryon, channeled by Lee Carroll, calls it the Shift. Many other lesser-known channels are referring to this time as the Great Shift in Consciousness. With different words, each of these channels and entities are exploring a similar idea of collective ascension. Neil Donald Walsh discusses these changes in the channeled and automatically written 3-part series Conversations with God, An Uncommon Dialogue, 1995, 1997, 2001. And Eckhart Tolle has also addressed the rising of human consciousness in his best-selling book, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, 2005. The collective awakening is happening at this very moment. Many ancient prophecies and eschatological beliefs have also predicted this new era well before their time. Over 3,000 years ago, the Mayan indigenous civilization of Mesoamerica foresaw not the end of the world, but a major transition into a new period of creation beginning in 2012. Similarly, the native Hopi people of the Southwest U.S. over 2,000 years ago predicted the time of destruction called the Great Purification. Hindus speak of the Kali Yuga, the age of chaos and destruction, while Nostradamus, 1503-1566, predicted many global events well before they took place and spoke of the Age of Enlightenment. From an astrological perspective, astrologer Pam Gregory, with over 30 years of experience specializing in global cycles and events, highlights an unprecedented astrological shift occurring between January 2025 and March 2026. This period marks the movement of all outer planets and rare planetary alignment that happens only once every 12,000 years. All of these prophecies and events are converging right at this very moment in what is commonly known as the Age of Aquarius. Quote, one person after another, each in his own way, senses that a time is running out on a dying way of life. As the decade expires, a murderous century expires with it, and a glorious millennium of human accomplishment all draw to a close with the year 2000. End quote. The Sovereign Individual, Rees-Mogg W. and Davidson J.D., 1997. Thousands of ordinary people who have had near-death experiences report similar insights, transcending culture, faith, geography, religious beliefs, and language. Near-death experiences, or NDEs, occur when someone who undergoes clinical death is revived and able to recall their time on the other side. Many describe reuniting with loved ones who have passed away, viewing past lives, and experiencing a profound life review. A life review entails seeing one's entire lifetime in a split second, while simultaneously experiencing the perspective and emotions of all of those involved, sometimes including pets. Some even recount experiencing the outcomes of choices made on different timelines. From an esoteric perspective, A timeline is a sequence of events or experiences that unfold within a specific dimension or reality. Our experience is influenced by the collective consciousness and our individual choices. A timeline is often perceived as one of many potential pathways a soul can traverse. The Mandela effect, a phenomenon where groups of individuals remember events or details differently from how they are recorded, can be seen from this perspective as evidence of subtle shifts between timelines, where the collective consciousness influences our perception of past events and realities. Examples include people remembering the Monopoly Man with a monocle, Fruit of the Loom with a cornucopia, the children's book Berenstain Bears as Berenstain Bears, and the misquote, Luke, I am your father, from Star Wars, when the original line was no, I am your father. While past lives refer to the belief that our soul or consciousness has lived multiple lifetimes before this current existence, reincarnation is the idea that the soul or consciousness can be reborn into a new body after death. Both of these ideas are found in various religious, spiritual, and philosophical traditions, like Hinduism and Buddhism. Experiences, actions, lessons, and innate gifts from previous incarnations may influence our current lifetime, affecting our personality, fears, phobias, and talents. What Dolores Cannon eventually realized is that her clients were experiencing past life regressions, where they could recall memories from previous lifetimes in a hypnotic state. For the more skeptical among readers, consider the likelihood that thousands of people who have had near-death experiences or past life regressions would conspire across geographical borders and language barriers to ostracize themselves by sharing similar, otherworldly stories. Instead, I invite you to learn more by listening to their experiences firsthand on podcasts, such as Next Level Soul by Alex Ferrari, and see how their stories resonate with you. Some of the most intriguing perspectives come from former corporate professionals, military personnel, or atheists who have had profound, transformative experiences. Suzanne Geisman, a former U.S. Navy commander and second-in-command to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is a compelling example of a journey from skepticism to spiritual awakening. Her transformation was catalyzed by the sudden death of her stepdaughter, Susan, a Marine Corps surgeon who was 6 months pregnant when she was struck by lightning. This devastating loss propelled Geisman, once a firm skeptic, to explore evidence of the afterlife through evidential mediumship and spiritual inquiry, ultimately reshaping her understanding of consciousness and existence beyond death. For those who seek scientific proof, I recommend the peer-reviewed research carried out by the University of Virginia on NDEs and Dr. Jim B. Tucker's significant, rigorous studies on reincarnation. Quote, "A man should look for what is, and not what he thinks should be." End quote. Albert Einstein. In Proof of Heaven, A Neurosurgeon's Journey into the Afterlife, 2012, Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon and former skeptic of near-death experiences, recounts his own profound journey beyond consciousness while in a coma, offering what he believes to be compelling evidence of the afterlife. Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, 1994, and Robert Schwartz's Your Soul's Plan, 2008, respectively explore past life regressions through client sessions and mediumship, supporting the idea that souls consciously choose life circumstances for personal and spiritual growth. These works illustrate the concept of a soul blueprint or pre-birth plan, suggesting we design a detailed outline of significant life events, relationships, challenges, and lessons before incarnating. This blueprint serves as the guide for our soul's growth and evolution, ensuring we encounter the opportunities our soul desires to experience and learn from this lifetime. This expanded perspective beckons us to explore the deeper truths behind the nature of reality and what lies beyond physicality. The true nature of reality. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the Vedic texts describe the 3D realm as Maya, meaning the illusion which conceals the true nature of reality. This illusion convinces us that we are defined by our thoughts, our physical bodies, and a sense of separation from one another. Yet, we are fractals of Source, each of us experiencing reality through our own unique lens of awareness while inherently connected to the whole. Recognizing this can lead to a profound shift in perception, revealing the unity and oneness that underlies our existence. Universal law of one. Akin to Albert Einstein's unified field theory, a singular, interconnected energy system underlies all existence, with everything in the universe being interdependent. While our minds and experiences may be separate, the consciousness creating my reality and the underlying consciousness creating your reality are the same. We are everything and everyone, plants, animals, inanimate objects, those we love and those who we deem to be evil. We are the dreamer and the dream. As Jim Carrey, actor, comedian, and spiritualist describe during a commencement speech, quote, "My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul, one unified field." End quote. Upon entering the human body on earth, the soul passes through the veil of forgetfulness, a mechanism designed to mask spiritual knowledge and memories of past lives. This allows us to fully engage with the human experience without the influence of prior lifetimes. This idea entails that we may not enter this world as complete blank slates. We may actually be carrying an inner awareness of our soul blueprint and past lives, which we are simply made to forget. The veil is believed to be a necessary aspect of human experience, enabling us to learn, grow, and rediscover who we are. Simulation theory approaches Maya from a scientific angle. Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astrophysicist and popular science communicator, has explored this idea, suggesting that we could be living in a computer simulation. Nick Bostrom, a renowned philosopher and director of the Future of Humanity Institute, also supports this idea in Simulation Argument 2003, where he poses, quote, "If a technologically mature post-human civilization runs ancestor simulations, then we are almost certainly living in one of them." End quote. A useful analogy to understand simulation theory is a video game. The larger consciousness is the game itself, while our higher self, the intuitive, connected aspect of ourselves, is the player outside the game, and our ego self is the avatar inside the game. Our soul, as if wearing a virtual reality headset, experiences this illusion through a physical body. What some spiritual leaders call an avatar or meat suit. Universal laws serve as the game rules, while all possible moves or outcomes exist here and now. The spiritual notion of Akashic records supports this idea, being the static and intangible universal repository of all the knowledge, events, actions, and thoughts that have ever existed, past, present, and future, across all timelines. Dr. Evan Laszlo's Akashic field theory offers a scientific framework that resonates with this idea, describing a universal quantum field that contains all information and serves as the foundational mechanism through which consciousness interacts with the material world. While our soul blueprint provides an objective in the game, our higher self communicates through synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that guide us towards our highest timeline, or the ideal path set out in our soul blueprint. And so, anything that can happen already has. It's our free will choice that decides how we navigate this game. Our ego can ignore our higher self or follow its guidance. Daryl Anka, a channel and filmmaker known for his contributions to several Star Trek films, offers a compelling metaphor to explain the interplay of destiny and free will using the analogy of a hallway. According to Anka, our soul designs the hallway, the life path we are destined to follow. However, how we navigate it is entirely up to us. Whether we move quickly or slowly, choose to walk or crawl, feel joy or sadness, ignore or explore the doors along the way. These decisions all depend on the free will choices we make as physical beings. While the path itself is set out by our blueprint, the journey is a product of how we engage in the world, offering opportunities for growth and personal transformation. In this way, we are destined to play the game of life, but we navigate it using free will, whether conscious or subconscious, to shape our unique experience of reality. The unfolding of this game reflects the choices we make and the actions we take as we move through time and space. As the Buddhist saying goes, if there were no illusion, there would be no enlightenment. Many spiritual leaders and spiritual texts put forth the idea that we are consciousness experiencing itself as unique expressions. The choice to incarnate into dense physical bodies in a low vibrational realm is said to accelerate spiritual evolution thanks to duality, or the experience of the separate self. According to various spiritual beliefs, including Hermetic thought, we all possess a spark of a higher divine essence or spirit connected to Source. This means that we are all connected to each other and to ultimate reality. Part of our soul's journey is to awaken to this inner divinity, recognize unity with a higher consciousness, and transcend the illusions of the material world. Yeshua, being Jesus' Hebrew name, emphasizes this connection between the divine and the earthly realms by teaching that, quote, the kingdom of God is within you, end quote, Luke 17:21, indicating that each person carries a spiritual consciousness within themselves, and encouraging the alignment of the divine will with earthly actions. Quote, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. End quote. Matthew 6:10. Through these teachings, Yeshua conveyed that humans are not merely physical beings, but also vessels for divine expression, called to materialize spiritual truth in the physical world. Similarly, in Judaism, the Kabbalistic concept of tikkun olam calls for humans to participate in the repair of the world, bringing divine light into everyday life and actions. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, teaches that the soul's journey is to return to union with Source, while fully engaging in the world, serving as an expression of divine love and compassion. Although our mental, emotional, physical, energy, and spiritual bodies are deeply shaped by childhood conditioning, as we will soon explore, we still hold the power to reframe how we experience both our personal and collective realities. If we have the power to change ourselves, then we have the power to change the simulation itself, as our experience of the universal law of mirroring also applies to the collective. Universal law of mirroring, also known as the law of correspondence, the macrocosm, the larger universe, reflects the microcosm, the individual. As above, so below. While we undergo our individual evolution, the collective is simultaneously experiencing a profound transformation. Many of those who are aware of the great shift are still disheartened by the illusion, a simulation strife with polarization, division, and war, because they remain largely unaware that another system is emerging, ushering in light, love, peace, and abundance. Although much of the spiritual community is doing an incredible job elevating the collective by focusing on their individual matrix through meditations, rituals, ceremonies, visualizations, and prayer, these alone will not be enough to shift our collective reality. Self-healing and ethereal work are absolutely vital. But while we change ourselves to align with a higher timeline, we must also choose a simulation that corresponds to the collective reality we wish to experience. As long as we leave our systemic matrix unaddressed, stuck in a system designed to keep us in ego consciousness, then we will continue to be attached to the 3D. As we may need to reframe our individual matrix in order to experience the reality we desire, we also need to choose a system that operates in unity consciousness, so as to usher in a higher timeline for the collective. Though collective awakening is inevitable, we have the power to reduce the risk of war by powerfully uplifting others through our systemic choices and actions. The following chapter is designed to understand the deeper layers of our systemic matrix, with the aim of empowering you with the exact mechanisms behind how money is used to maintain us in ego consciousness. Once you understand the collective operating system, you will undoubtedly be empowered to exercise greater free will. The systemic matrix. Free will cannot exist without truth. Without an understanding of how our financial system is designed to anchor both individuals and the collective in ego consciousness, it's difficult to claim we have exercised conscious choice or true free will our entire lives. As Eckhart Tolle observed, quote, "Choice implies consciousness, a high degree of consciousness. Without it, you have no choice." End quote. We have already uncovered the profound impact childhood programming has on our adult lives, a domain where the spiritual and personal development communities excel. While they sometimes touch on societal programming, educational, religious, and social influences, systemic programming is never addressed. Bitcoiners, on the other hand, have skillfully uncovered and analyzed this other half of the story. If we truly want to be free, we must first recognize the subconscious norms that influence our incentives. Only by questioning these forces can we experience a higher degree of freedom. Systemic programming. In this chapter, we will deeply examine our systemic matrix, based on the premise that fiat money dictates the incentive structure of a system-based programming. We will gradually reveal how money has been used as a tool to subconsciously anchor the collective in ego consciousness, while also building a solid understanding of the fiat system. Much like the movie The Matrix, 1999, you are now being presented with two options. The blue pill, rejecting the idea that there's a collective subconscious ruling your life, or the red/orange pill, continuing to read and discovering the truth. Facing this collective underworld may push us into an even deeper spiritual awakening than previously experienced. Questioning money forces us to acknowledge uncomfortable truths behind the collective shadows we've both contributed to and benefited from. In much of modern spirituality, this part of our awakening is actively avoided, with many justifications and rationalizations, often cloaked in positivity. But true transformation requires stepping into the discomfort, not away from it. Once you see the matrix, you cannot unsee it, and you probably won't want to go back.